Good morning, Aunt Danny.
Good morning.
Good morning, Grandmommy.
Good morning.
Good morning, Toby. Oh, you're asleep, aren't you?
Deja vu, I just been in this place before. Higher on the street, and I know it's my time to.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I am exhausted. I'm jet lagged, half to anything, and I've just spent the last 3 days drinking more than I've ever drinking before in my life for my little brother's wedding. So today we're going low effort, but it'll be fun. So stick around because I'm an odd one. Today I'm drinking milk out of a glass for breakfast. This is a pasta jar glass. That's kind of how it goes. I'm gonna go over 3 unique insights that I learned in the last 9 months of living in Japan, about Japanese society, Japanese people, Japanese culture. So the first thing is that learning the Japanese language is there's a lot of built-in hidden difficulty to that, actually. Learning Japanese isn't just about learning the language, it is truly about learning the culture. Because in order to communicate effectively in Japanese, you have to be able to read cultural cues from people, since it is such a high context culture, and high context language. So you might be able to know every word and every grammatical structure in Japanese and know how to say everything that you want, but without living in a place where Japanese people live, or without being in a place where Japanese people live, or at least surrounded by Japanese people, then you'll never truly be able to speak Japanese. I don't know very many languages like that, but it was certainly something that I wasn't ready for when I started learning Japanese coming to Japan. And it's been a fun ride trying to detangle all of the wires and mess involved in that. What are 2 other things that I've learned from being in Japan? I have no clue. Japan has been in the year 2000 since 1980. So their economy boomed back in the 1980s. At one point, all the real estate in Tokyo alone was worth, I think, all the real estate in the United States times 3 or 4 or something ridiculous like that. Or the entire American economy, 4 times the entire American economy. It's nuts. But since the year 2000, their technology really hasn't advanced much. So you can find gimmicky kind of robotics that exist within cafes and shops and whatnot throughout Tokyo and maybe Osaka and maybe some of the bigger cities. But at my last job, they did have to use fax to communicate with the government. Hospitals don't even have smartphones for nurses and whatnot. Hospitals and clinics, the only people who have access to the internet are the doctors running it, the 1 or 2 doctors in charge of the facility. And a lot of the bills that you might have to pay utilities wise and everything, it's quite difficult to pay them online. A lot of the time they're more geared for you to be able to pay. Don't get me wrong, there's options to pay online, but they are definitely still, oh goodness, but they are definitely still set for you to be able to pay in paper more. I haven't seen very many paperless options. Sorry, my cats are playing with stuff over there. And I think the third thing, and this is something that I've heard a lot, but I personally haven't had to struggle with it. I don't think housing in Japan. Maybe this is a controversial take of mine. I personally haven't experienced this difficulty, and I don't know very many people who have. But honestly, I don't think finding housing as a foreigner in Japan is that difficult. Right? If we just use japanrealestate.com, then all of the kind of listings and agencies and everything on that website are geared towards foreigners or gaigokujin friendly for the most part. And even if a specific listing that you're interested in on the website doesn't work, then the agency that has listed then the agency that has listed that apartment will be able to find you another similar property in the area or somewhere else. I remember I've moved 3 times since I've gotten to Japan, actually. I live in Shibuya now, but I started off living in Ikejiri-Ohashi area, and I moved twice there, or 3 times there, or something like that. And the last apartment that I was in Ikejiri-Ohashi was terrible. It was right off the side of a highway. I couldn't sleep. I had no clue how to, make it so that way I wasn't hearing my neighbors do all of the things that my neighbors were doing. and that was uncomfortable for me. So I remember it was 3 o'clock in the morning one day. I hadn't slept. I have work the next day. Super frustrated. It's been a month I've been living there. And I finally was just like, oh, mo moody. Like I can't do this anymore. And so I got onto real estate or japanrealestate.com, sent in inquiries for like 6 different properties, and I got WhatsApp messaged and emailed by the next morning at like 8 a.m. So like a 5 hour turnaround. And I was touring a property that same day, right? And it's a Shibuya place that I'm living at now. So I honestly don't think finding housing is that difficult, at least in Tokyo. It may be true that 97% of the options available, or whatever the percentage might be, like the majority of options aren't available to foreigners. And this only applies to my renting experience. I have no clue for buying, but because so many people, live in Japan, there's so many housing options. Even that 3% is still like 60,000 places for you to stay, at any given point in time. So I really don't think if you're looking to move over here, you'll have a hard time finding a place to stay. It's actually quite easy and convenient. I think the difficulty that you might run into is when you go through to try and sign the paperwork, if you don't have a job here or you don't have enough money to prove that you can pay for all of the apartment right now, which is something fortunately I did have when I signed up for my apartment. I think that might be when you get into, the difficulty. But like actually finding places that'll accept you as a foreigner, I don't think that there's just going to be that big of a difficulty to be able to do that. So, yeah, really low effort vlog for today. I'm not feeling good. I've got to fly out of here at like 9 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. So I've got to film another vlog or like 2 or 3 more vlogs because I'm going to be traveling for 28 hours. And I still got to finish this milk, man. So I hope you guys enjoyed my brother's wedding. I had a wonderful time at that. If you haven't seen it, then go watch my brother's wedding. I was the best man. I gave a very long speech, though everybody congratulated me on it, so hopefully it went over well. And I'll see you when I get back in Mudan. I'm excited to go sumo wrestling with you, or whatever we're gonna end up doing when we get back to Japan. So you all have a great rest of your day. I hope everybody's being good and being safe, and I'm gonna finish this milk. See you in the next one. What? Scared him off. What about you?